This week on Elon Phoenix Weekly, a semester in rewind. Our last 7 episodes go through the works and we find our top segments that the fans liked. We bring them back in case you missed them, or you can watch them again. So this week, coming right up, our top segments of the semester. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Elon Phoenix Weekly. I'm Tyler Lundquist. Now, first episode that we want to rewind to is from our second show of the semester, where we spoke with the director of the Carolina Hurricanes, and he just gave us a glimpse into the industry that he works so that our students and members of the comm school can get a better sense of what he does and try to include them in his industry. So in this industry chat from earlier this semester, we go to the director of the Carolina Hurricanes.
Ready 6, take 6. Ready 1, take 1. Ready 2, take 2. Ready 5, ready 5, take 5.
When you step inside a television truck, the atmosphere is as exciting and energetic as the game you're seeing on your screen.
Take 3. Ready 8, stay tight 8. Ready 8, take 8.
For Paul Hemming, his original dream of commentating about the excitement on the screen switched early in his career.
Ready 8, take 8.
When I first got into college, I wanted to be a commentator. I wanted to be on air, the face that you saw on TV. But when I got my internship and I actually got into working on real TV shows, I would have to take 6 coffees and creamers and stir sticks and stuff out to the TV truck. And the first time I got out there, I got inside the TV truck and I was just blown away by what happens inside the TV truck. And I was like, all of a sudden I was like, I don't want to be a commentator. I don't want to be the guy on the camera. I want to be the guy behind the camera, telling the guy on the camera what to say, how long he has to say it, where he's going to say it, what it's going to look like when he says it. And so at that point, I wasn't sure if it was a producer or director that I wanted to be, but I changed my mind and I wanted to be a director.
In Canada, Chopper, as Hemming is known, was a part of a national broadcast for TSN. He often had to make quick decisions to tell ever-changing stories of a game.
The producer and the director work together as a team. From my standpoint, from a director's standpoint, I've got everything. I've got the sequence in my head, you know, in terms of show the goalie, show the coach that was scored against, show the goal scorer, show the crowd, and I'm basically cutting live shots to fill the time till we get to the replay. Producer makes, as you saw in that video, makes an instantaneous call to say, no, we're not going anywhere until we see the goalie exchange. There's no time now at that point for me to go, okay, rip up plan A, now we're going to plan B. So it all happens in a millisecond. It's adapt and overcome at the highest level, and it's reaction speed like you've never seen before.
After a few decades of working in Canada, Hemming transitioned to a different but equally challenging role with the Carolina Hurricanes.
In Canada, I worked on national broadcasts, which are completely different than regional broadcasts, which is what I'm working with now on Fox Sports Carolinas. National broadcasts, you do a game of the week, you're kind of a hired gun. You have sort of all week to prepare for one game. There's many, many people that are involved in the show that sort of hand you all the homework that you need for each show. When I got to Carolina, it was completely different. It was like, all this stuff we're doing, you're responsible for it. You're responsible for laying out the technical plan. You're responsible for, checking in with the engineers. You're responsible for helping out with transition and the telestrator and all these things that I was never part of before. So in fact, it made me a better director.
Hemming also has a robust social media presence on Instagram and an exciting podcast.
When he first started talking to me about podcasts, I didn't even know what a podcast was. I mean, I think I saw the app on my iPhone, but I really wasn't sure what it was. I definitely didn't listen to any podcasts. One of the things about our industry is, like, after all those shows that we do and the stressful moments that you see and stuff, all these great stories would come out. But they were always just in our sort of brotherhood of TV, sports TV type people, and and they're actually really interesting stories. And the episodes run, anywhere between 40 to 50 minutes long, and it's really just an entertaining look at behind the scenes in sports television. People are enjoying it. We have listeners all over the world, from Australia to Europe to all over Canada, all over the United States. It's pretty cool.
For people interested in getting into the business, Chopper encourages aspiring television professionals to get as close to the action as they can and begin establishing connections.
Everybody that's in this business was exactly in the situation that you're in right now. And all it takes is, and everybody's willing and open to do that. So I would say, it takes nothing to send an email and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. Would it be okay? Would you be kind enough to let me just come and watch behind the scenes one night? And then as soon as you've done that, you make connections, right? And then those are people that you can reach out to, and you can ask advice again, or you can set it up again. It's a very small industry, and you just have to get through the door. You just have to break through the door, and it's probably easier than you think it is.
Ultimately, live productions are becoming more rare, but this is the world that brings Hemming the most satisfaction.
That's the great thing about live sports television, is that it's really the last frontier of live TV. You watch the news at 5:30, you watch the news at 6 o'clock, 70% of that probably is on tape, coming back from a tape source playback, right? And I mean, I would say that most of the time the only thing you're seeing live is the on-air talent read, but even some of those are pre-taped as well too. Sports is the only thing where it happens live, where you cannot make a mistake, because they're not going to go back and replay a down or replay a player at bat or replay an ice goal in hockey because the camera missed it. That's the great thing about my job, is that's the challenge every night, is that every night you have to be perfect. You can't make a mistake. Now, we all know that perfection is impossible. There's no such thing as the perfect show. And the day that you think you've worked on the perfect show, whatever event it is you're working on, that's the day you should probably look for another career, because there is no such thing as the perfect show. Although every night, every single night that you're working, you're aiming for that perfection. And that's the great thing about, that's the juice for my job. That's what gives me my, the adrenaline, is that, you have to be on, you have to be perfect. You can't show up and mail it in. It's not like working at the bank where you can go in, close your door if you don't want to talk to anybody, and leave at 4 o'clock. What we're all signing up for as a career is the exact opposite of that.
Again, we say thank you for joining the show and taking the time to talk to the Elon Sports Vision cohort, as well as other members of the Elon School of Comm. Thank you as well for making yourself a resource for our students and continuing to be a part of our journey through the industry. Now, last week was the finals of the Everyday Sportscasting Tournament, where I took on Drew Gentry, and the results are in, and I won the tournament. So thank you to everyone who voted in previous rounds and in the finals. Drew, thank you for being a worthy opponent in the finals. For everyone who took part in this tournament, thank you. It was an absolute blast to put together. Now, when we come back, more of the best segments from this semester and this season of Elon Phoenix Weekly. Stay tuned.
As one of the top schools in the country, Elon Athletics is on a level all its own. The Phoenix Club helps provide not only opportunities for a distinctive undergraduate experience, but also helps student athletes compete in the Colonial Athletic Association. We can provide student athletes with a world-class education. Make a gift by visiting elonphoenix.com or calling 336-278-6503 today to show your passion for the Phoenix.
welcome back to Elon Phoenix Weekly. And our next segment that we rewind to is again from our second show of the season, where Emmanuel Taube talked about viewership and TV ratings of sports leagues that have drastically dropped and how that has affected the league as a whole. So Emmanuel, we go back to you and all your wisdom.
On September 28th, the Tampa Bay Lightning defeated the Dallas Stars to win the Stanley Cup Finals. It was a moment of celebration for the Lightning, but to be honest, not a lot of people were around to watch it. The game averaged a 1.7 rating and it had 2.8 million viewers on NBC. This made the game the lowest rated and the least watched Stanley Cup clincher in at least 20 years. Now, there's been a lot of articles all around about sports ratings being historically down right now, the sports apocalypse, and if you look at the numbers, there might be a reason for concern. I mean, let's take Game 3 of the NBA Finals. It had 5.9 million viewers, making it the least watched NBA Finals game of all time. The previous record, well, that was held by Game 2 of this year's NBA Finals. NASCAR at Bristol was the least watched Bristol race since 2000, and that's including rainouts. The US Open was the least watched final round of the tournament since at least 1987. Simpler times. It's okay though, right? Because the NFL is back in here to save TV. Well, about that. If you go online, it's not hard to find thousands of articles talking about record low viewership, the end of the sports world. But to be honest, it's all about perspective when you look at ratings. Now let's talk about the NBA. Game 2 of the NBA Finals took place on a Friday. I like Fridays, you like Fridays. The NBA hates playing games on Fridays. In the last 100 NBA Finals games, only 4 of them have been played on a Friday night. That's just because the NBA just does not get a lot of viewership on those days. 3 of the last 4 Friday games were the least watched games of their final series. Game 3 took place on a Sunday, a better day, right? Well, except when you look at it was going up against the NFL. I mean, ultimately, the NBA Finals haven't gone up against this much competition since the OJ chase. These were not simpler times. But the amount of sports competition right now is just ridiculous. I mean, just last weekend, we had the NFL, the NBA Finals, the MLB playoffs, the WNBA Finals, NASCAR at Talladega, Premier League football, the French Open, college football. And then outside of the sports bubble, let's not forget about the small news story of the President of the United States getting diagnosed with COVID last weekend that dominated the primetime news cycle. I mean, I don't know what kind of setup y'all have at home, but I got one TV in my living room where I watch stuff, and I got a Twitter where I follow stuff. You should follow me. But it doesn't matter what league you are, you're going to be impacted by competition because people can only watch and follow so much stuff at one time. I mean, even the top dog NFL, who last fall, they accounted for 47 of the top 50 most watched shows on TV, even they have to deal with competition. I mean, historically, NFL viewership has declined in each of the past 6 presidential election years. I mean, in fact, the league office has even told teams not to worry about the lower ratings because at the end of the day, as long as they're on TV, the money's not really going anywhere. Fox is reportedly willing to spend up to $2 billion a year to keep the rights of NFL games. That's nearly double the amount they spend a year right now, despite those horrendous ratings that people keep talking about. I mean, I started this piece earlier talking about the NHL record low Stanley Cup, but a report has recently come out that ESPN, CBS, and Fox Sports may be interested in making an offer for NHL's TV rights. Contrary to popular belief and lots of those eye-grabbing headlines, the big leagues are not going anywhere. Now, will they look different in the future? Absolutely. But right now, it's not the end of the sports world. I mean, to be honest, look how resilient the XFL has been. It's probably going to be even harder for the league to hit rock bottom now that you got Dwayne Johnson ready to people's elbow everyone who gets in the way. I mean, overall, there's a lot going on right now. But just by looking at the falling ratings, people are missing out on the big picture. We've got sports back, and they are working. Speaking of that, I actually have to go. I think there's a game on right now. Back to you, Taylor.
Well, and now I know that if I ever want to do something on a Friday night on TV, I'll probably think otherwise and try to find another day. So thank you, Emmanuel, for that insight. And we hope that the leagues do end up finding what they need for higher TV ratings. Our next package comes from Javik Blake, our very own correspondent who took a deep dive into the minor leagues here locally in North Carolina, specifically the Burlington Royals and other lower class affiliates of Major League Baseball teams and how they are faring during the pandemic. So Javik, we go back to you.
Behind me is Burlington Athletic Stadium, home to baseball in the area since 1960 and affiliated baseball in Burlington since 1986. It's been home to two different Appalachian League franchises, part of a league that makes up the second lowest rung of minor league professional baseball in the United States. It's been home to the Burlington Indians and most recently the Burlington Royals. And it's been home to some great players, and they've seen some great players come through their doors, including Manny Ramirez, the always infamous Bartolo Colon, and more recently, Salvador Perez, a world champion with the Kansas City Royals. But everything's changing in 2021. Major League Baseball's restructuring their minor league classification, and because of that, the Appalachian League will be no more. Instead of being a rookie advanced league as part of the second lowest rung of minor league baseball, it will instead be converted into a collegiate summer wood bat league, and that leaves the Burlington Athletic Stadium without an affiliate for the first time since 1986.
The news was dropped on September 29th when Ryan Kerr, owner of Burlington Baseball Incorporated, released a statement with the following. We are thrilled to announce this level of partnership with Major League Baseball and USA Baseball. For months, we have remained persistent on finding the best possible solution for not only preserving but ultimately growing baseball in Burlington, North Carolina, and today, that became a reality. But to find out what the Burlington Royals and affiliated baseball really means in Burlington, North Carolina, we sat down with none other than Elon Assistant Professor of Sport Management and former GM of the franchise, Dr. Mark Ryan.
What does baseball mean to Burlington, North Carolina?
Well, I think most of the time if you talk to folks, particularly city leadership, business people in the community, it did set Burlington aside from a lot of other small cities in the state.
Ever since 1942, baseball in Burlington had been off and on, with various teams from leagues like the Carolina League to the old Bi-State League back in 1942. But it wasn't until the Indians in 1986 and the Appalachian League that baseball really took hold in Burlington.
I think it got people really excited. When they actually first came in, Cleveland was sending some very strong teams here. CC Sabathia played here, and a host of others, Richie Sexton and Einar Diaz, and they sent a lot of very good talent through Burlington. And they had very good teams. They were very successful. They were known in the community. They established a brand as being big winners. And people were excited to have a team back.
This past year, however, Major League Baseball has been dead set on bringing minor league baseball under its goal of governing all baseball in the United States. And with that, it's left the Appalachian League turning into a summer league.
High school baseball players, unlike, if you're a football and basketball player, you pretty much have to go to college. You're going to go at least for a year. If you're a baseball player, baseball has always had what, in my opinion, is the best system because players have choices. You can choose to go be a college player, or if you're not really serious about academics, you don't have to go pretend to be a student. You can sign a minor league contract and go play minor league baseball and try to make the majors that way, if you're good enough. So part of that was, of course, the college baseball season is early. It's in the spring. It leaves the whole summer vacation available. And for many years, these college summer leagues had filled this gap by giving student athletes who played college baseball the chance to go play in a league where they used a wooden bat. Big difference between college baseball and pro baseball is the aluminum versus the wooden bat. And so Major League Scouts want to see the players swing the wooden bat.
Historically, the top talent of rising freshmen and sophomores in college baseball went to plenty of leagues around the country. But the new Appalachian League is looking to change that. They're looking to become the premier destination for young college baseball talent.
Will they be able to sustain a team long-term in this collegiate summer league model?
Well, it's a really good question. Yeah, on the financial side, of course, one of the reasons that being in the Appy League had been a good fit for a city like Burlington is that at this level, the parent clubs had always recognized the fact that these are smaller markets. They can't generate the same level of revenue that you can generate in Greensboro or Durham or Fayetteville. And so they had provided more financial support. The big league teams had actually paid for more things at this level than they do at other levels. So for instance, the Burlington team, both the Indians and the Royals, would pay for the bus travel and the hotels and the meals on the road. And some of those things, like hotel and bus, if you were at a higher level, the local team would have to pay for that themselves. So there was a level of support provided that is higher than other affiliated leagues in recognition of the small size of the market.
Even without contracts signed, both Major League Baseball and USA Baseball have rumored they will continue supporting the franchises as when they were affiliated. But next year, when a 54-game regular season schedule kicks off in the Appalachian League, it'll look nothing like it's ever looked like before. Javik Blake, Elon Phoenix Weekly.
And while baseball teams might get mixed around here in the state, it's considered a basketball state, but baseball is certainly here to stay in one way or another. So thank you, Javik, for showing us that. When we come back, our final couple packages from this season of Elon Phoenix Weekly. Stay tuned and don't miss those.
As one of the top schools in the country, Elon Athletics is on a level all its own. The Phoenix Club helps provide not only opportunities for a distinctive undergraduate experience, but also helps student athletes compete in the Colonial Athletic Association. We can provide student athletes with a world-class education. Make a gift by visiting elonphoenix.com or calling 336-278-6503 today to show your passion for the Phoenix.
For our penultimate rewinded segment, an episode of The Spark with Jalen Green talking about his journey through athletics, high school, college, and playing football on both sides of the ball. So we go back and hear more about Jalen Green's story.
One day I was talking to one of my friends. They said they were going to early college, and you don't want to leave your friends going to high school. So I said, oh, sure, I'll apply. And what I didn't know what I was getting myself into, my parents looked into it and saw it was a really good opportunity and would set me up well for the future, and they didn't let me back out. Once I brought it up, it was set in stone. I played for Southern Durham, but I went to early college high school, and it's on North Carolina Central's campus, and it's basically an accelerated path. So I finished high school in 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year, and then my junior and senior year I was fully immersed on Central's campus, taking classes with the regular population, getting my 2 years of general education courses. When I came into Elon, I went straight into my, senior level classes. That was a bit of an adjustment, but I managed to, get through that and graduate last year. And now in this MBA program, again, just leaning on my advisors and my peers that I'm in the classroom with, Jordan Dollarson, Donovan Williams, guys that I've been in those classes with who just, helped me get through it. And it's really a team effort. I'm just, grateful to be in the position that I'm at. And, I'm not gonna say I'm where I want to go, but I'm on my way.
Ball popped out. Elon says they've got it, and indeed the Phoenix do have it.
It's bigger than me. My parents have been working so hard to put both me and my sister through college. She graduated, she's 2 years older than me, and we actually graduated last year at the same time. So she didn't like that, but it's an accomplishment, for my parents as well. The way my parents put it, you're here for this long, and then you have the rest of your life here that you gotta, that you're working, and so you wanna set yourself up good while you're young and able to work.
It's a good day at work. We live on Friday.
I knew the path that I would be on, but if you had told me I would have graduated college at 19 and about to graduate again at 21 And then now playing defense, I would have said, nah, you're crazy. I wouldn't have believed it myself, especially the fact that, you never know what's gonna happen. But I'm thankful for my journey, and it's been a great journey to this point.
Well, Jalen, congrats on where you are and good luck on getting where you're going. We're happy to have you as a Phoenix. And you saw his dance moves at graduation, and now we go back to when I put on a few dance moves for touchdown celebrations. Might not have been as cool looking as Jalen's, but in my opinion, they're newsworthy. So we go back to my segment when I tried touchdown celebrations.
Now, for a while, celebrating in the NFL didn't exist until Ickey Woods came into the league and took the football world by storm. He invented the Ickey Shuffle, a celebration dance that he would do after every touchdown. For the Cincinnati Bengals, he ran and became a Pro Bowler. His dances took over the entire league, and to this day, there are still iterations of his Ickey Shuffle. Now, what other touchdown dances exist in the league? Now, it was banned for a while, but then it came back, and now it's the highlight of most games. So, what are all the NFL players doing? Paying homage and creating their own word, the way the Ickey Shuffle rang throughout the entire NFL. But here's the question, why don't kickers have celebrations? Now, everyone should have their celebration, and nowadays it's seeming like everyone does. In football, everything originated with the Ickey Shuffle. Now, my variations are a little obscure, sure, but they're mine. And that's how everyone puts their imprint on the league and says, this is me.
Yeah, that one was an absolute blast to record and put together. I thank you, JD, for helping me with that. Well, that's all that we have here for this season of Elon Phoenix Weekly. We appreciate each and every one of you for sticking this out with us. It was a weird semester, and we're excited to get on to the next one, our season 2 of this year, when Elon Athletics will be in full swing. We will have all the action for you here on Elon Phoenix Weekly. If you missed anything this semester or season, you can go check us out on youtube.com/Elon Phoenix Weekly. Search any of our materials at ElonCom on all streaming platforms, as well as ElonPhoenix.com, where you can see all important news and results from Elon Athletics. Be sure to follow us on all social channels at Elon Phoenix Weekly. On behalf of the entire Elon Phoenix Weekly crew, everyone involved, for the last time this season, I'm Taylor Lundquist. Have a good one.